Anybody in here not like chocolate? Okay. So the thought comes to your brain, I like chocolate. It goes into your subconscious and says, I really like chocolate. Now, if you only told your brain that one time, your subconscious may or may not remember it. How many of you know that the ideas that come into your brain don't come one time? They come in a barrage. Let's talk about some of the things that send thoughts into your brain. What else?
Things you hear.
Hear from
News.
news. What else?
The podcasts I select.
Podcasts. So you have some control over what that thought input is.
Please, I need a lot of that.
What else? See, we can probably sum all of these, and you would throw friends,
Yeah.
family, driving. We can throw all those into one, and I call it the environment. And by that, I don't mean like the trees and the grass and the birds, and what I mean is the things that surround you.
Mm-hmm.
Where else?
Things you see.
So,
Things you see.
yeah, you see. So other things that come in through your senses. So thoughts will come to you through all 5 senses of the body. Thoughts will come to you through your environment, and they use the vehicle of the body to get to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts will also come from where else, though?
Memories.
Memories. What else? How many words a day does a man speak? 10 to 20,000. How many does a woman speak? 40 to 60 is the average. How many do you speak inside your head? A day. A day.
Wow. Wow.
Now think about what that means for a minute. What was the statement that I made from the stage earlier that everyone else has heard, and a lot of people agree that they have said that to themselves or heard their parents say it?
Not the rich, get rich over the poor.
You ever say that inside your own head? Or anything like that? The early bird gets the better late than good things come to those who...
Wait.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're saying those things inside your head at a rate of 110,000 words a day. If what you've got in your head that's conditioning your thinking isn't in line with who you truly want to be, you will not have the feelings that are consistent with that or react that way. Let me give you an example. Preston and I had a conversation about a homeless guy who, unlike many homeless people, takes great care of himself. His clothes are clean. They fit as closely as he can get. He presents himself well, and although he doesn't say anything, he presents himself respectfully to the people around him. Who does that speak mostly of? What does that tell you about him? It tells you he respects the people he's around. Because he doesn't get all dressed up for him. That doesn't change his life any. But getting all dressed up for you tells you what he thinks of you.
Wow. That's good.
Now, at the same time, it will change the influence that he has of others. Because I'll guarantee you there are some homeless people out there that when he dresses up like that around them, they feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They feel uncomfortable because they feel like he's judging them. When he's not, he's showing them respect. Now, we have the same thing. I worked at jobs.com during the dot-com boom era, back when everyone thought it was cool that we had these jobs where everybody could just show up any way they wanted to. And they would show up in their flip-flops and Panama Jack shorts and their tank tops. And they would do mediocre work in a mediocre work environment. That was the culture that they bred in themselves. The influence that they had over their own thought processes was that I'm conditioned to be okay with just being a slob. I'm conditioned to be okay with looking and feeling like I'm on vacation, so I'm going to act like I'm on vacation. That's what I've told my brain. All of these things begin to take place without us being aware of it. Some of these friends and podcasts and news and other environmental inputs into our brain get into our subconscious. And what do we call it when we do something without thinking about it? How many of you drive? How many of you have ever pulled into the driveway at home and went, wow, I don't remember turning to that last corner?
Yeah.
You've done that. You know what that's called? There are 4 stages to the learning process. I won't rate them here because I don't want to turn my back to you completely, but the first one is unconscious incompetence. How many of you know how to fight a fire? Anybody? Did you know 10 minutes ago that you didn't know the difference between a chemical fire and an electrical fire? That a fire in a trash can is different than a fire in a dumpster? See, 10 minutes ago you didn't care. And now that I've started talking about it, your awareness is raised to that a little bit. You're now aware that you don't know. So the next level is conscious incompetence. I now know that I don't know the answer to that question. 10 minutes ago I didn't have a clue and I didn't care. Like a 5-year-old with a steering wheel. I don't know how to drive this car and I don't care, I just like turning the wheel. But now I know, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm incompetent. I don't have a clue. So what's the next level? Conscious competence. I know I can do this. I know I can drive a car. I'm well aware that I can get behind the wheel, put the car in drive, and move the vehicle. I know how to maneuver it through traffic. I know what to do in an emergency. I know how to control it if it goes into a skid. I know what to do if it dies in the middle of an intersection. All of those various things. My 16-year-old daughter is still learning the process of driving, so while she knows how to get in and put it in gear, what she's not so great at is what happens in a crisis. And so those are things that she's learning. But she's consciously competent, meaning the more she thinks about it, the better she does at it. Follow? Mm-hmm. Okay? So the next level is what you have when you're turning into your driveway going, wow, I didn't realize I was home already. It's called unconscious competence. Unconscious competence means I figured it out so well that I do this without thinking about it. Sugar Ray Leonard does not think about you punching him in the nose in order to move his head. He reacts to that because he's been conditioned to do that. Now there is conditioning that we have that would be like saying, you stomp on my foot, I'm going to turn the other cheek because I've trained myself to do that. My reflexive reaction, my nature, is the nature of the Spirit. And the Spirit says, I don't do that. I'm not going to punch you in the face. I'm not going to yell at you. I had a guy actually yesterday. I drive that giant excursion outside. It's not exactly a land rocket. It is more like a land yacht. They move, steer, and turn at about the same speed. So I pulled out into an intersection on 1709, knowing that I had to make the very next left turn. So it's about a half a block. I see that the entire wave of traffic is coming, about 400 cars on 4 lanes of road. And I pull all the way to the inside lane when I make my right turn onto the roadway so that I can make the next left. Otherwise, I'm not going to get through that sea of 400 cars without stopping somebody in the middle of the road. Little black Audi comes flying up behind me, zips around me, zips back in the other lane, and flips me off in the process. About 20 minutes later, I'm at the house and my cell phone rings. And I didn't know the number. This guy read the web address off the front of my truck and called me to chew me out for cutting him off in traffic. Now that's determined. He went to my website, got my phone number, called my phone and said, do you own? Yes, I do. You did this. Well, actually, here's what happened. I knew that I couldn't get across the traffic in my school bus, and I'd either be there another 30 minutes waiting on it, or I would just have to pull out there and accelerate as fast as I could. And I was going as fast as I could. I didn't realize how fast you were going. So I'm sorry if I cut you off. That's not what I meant to do. Well, okay. Well, thank you for apologizing. Thanks for calling so I would have the chance. You think that's the reaction he expected?
No.
It's not the reaction I would have expected of me. 5 years ago, it would not have been the reaction of me. I probably would have floored it and spun that little car around sideways and then blamed it on him. As we grow, though, we have the options of changing our conditioning. So let's go a little bit deeper in this. You have the thoughts, you have the subconscious, and you have the body. We've already determined that conditioning is kind of what happens in the subconscious. That's when all those thoughts get in.